What's the difference between the words Hispanic and Latino? There's a lot of overlap between the two terms, but they're not exactly the same. And what about the words Latin or Latinx? Where do they fit in? Today, I'll clarify those questions and more. I'll discuss Latinos who are Hispanic, Hispanic people who aren't Latino, and some people from South America who might not be either. I'll also discuss how these words came about in the first place and what exactly they mean. Let's get started. For a lot of people, the words Hispanic or Latino are interchangeable. If you have roots in Mexico or Colombia, you might choose to identify with either word or neither. It's a matter of personal preference. But there is a distinction to be made between these two labels. To understand it better, it will help to know some of the history behind the terms. In 2003, the writer Richard Rodriguez offered this provocative framing. In 1972, President Richard Nixon invented Hispanics. Of course, there were Spanish-speaking people in the Americas long before then, but it's true that we use the word today largely because of bureaucratic decisions made only about 50 years ago. The United States government wanted to add an option on the census for people living in the country who were of Spanish-speaking origin or descent. The move to group together diverse communities like Puerto Ricans living in the Northeast, Mexican Americans along the northern border, and Cuban immigrants in Florida, along with countless other cultures and ethnic backgrounds, was controversial from the start. Many people felt that there were more things distinguishing these various groups than uniting them. But this new language-based label also created an opportunity. Some individuals and advocacy groups embraced the term as a way to organize political power. The concerns of a relatively small group of people descended from, say, the Dominican Republic or Peru might have had difficulty getting the attention of businesses or government institutions. But the much larger Hispanic constituency had the potential to gather strength in numbers that might have helped the word stick around. That means that today, Hispanic can include someone whose family traces its roots in the Americas back before the Spanish ever arrived in the Western Hemisphere, along with someone who moved here from Spain 5 months ago. It generally doesn't include people from Brazil, though, where the official language is Portuguese. Brazilians generally would be considered Latino, though, short for the Spanish word Latinoamericano. That label is generally applied to anyone with roots in Latin America. Whether you're from Brazil, Argentina, or French Guiana, there's a good chance you speak a Romance language, a language directly descended from Latin. But Suriname is also in South America, and its official language is Dutch. So, is it part of Latin America? Most, but not all sources would say no. And what about Quebec? It's in the Americas, and many people there speak French, a Romance language that definitely comes from Latin. So are the Quebecois Latin American? It's a bit of an odd idea, but the concept of Latin America can actually be traced back to the French. Economist Michel Chevalier may be the first person to have written about a Latin race back in 1830. Chevaliers and others used the term to talk about places that had been colonized by Latin Europe, countries like France, Spain, and Portugal. And though the phrase Latin America may have been coined and used by people invested in its continued colonization, they're not the only ones who adopted the term. Some South Americans in the 19th century took the word Latino as a unifying label for those fighting against Spanish imperialism in the region. Even today, there are people that embrace the word Latino, and those that identify with their specific country of origin, the city they live in, or with the indigenous group to which they belong to. And of course, language continues to evolve. Words like Latinx and Latine have arisen as non-gendered alternatives to Latino or Latina. As you might have guessed by now, there is no one universal word everyone in such a broad swath of humanity can embrace. Perhaps, in a way, given the messy history of these words and the great diversity they attempt to encompass, that's fitting. What do you think? If you have family history tied to Central or South America, do you prefer the term Latino, Hispanic, something else? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.